Guess what? Guess what, all of you beautiful people? It is time! We are talking about Katsuki Bakugo today, guys. This is my version 1.0 deck profile, and you guys are watching Some For All, a place where you guys can watch some My Hero Academia CCG videos for all of you amazing people around the world. This is my second deck profile on this channel. The first one was my Kirishima deck profile. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and click that card in the top right and check that out. But here is Katsuki Bakugo. If you guys know, Katsuki Bakugo is my favorite character in this entire series. I love this character. I love his character development. If you guys are reading the manga, I mean, man, Bakugo is just such an amazing character. I have a video at some point on this channel talking about why Bakugo is my favorite character. But you guys aren't here for that. You guys are here for this deck profile. Now, before I get into the profile and talk about everything, I want you guys to remember, guys, I am a UFS noob. I'm only getting into the My Hero Academia CCG because I'm a My Hero Academia fan. I actually never played the UFS standard format. And so because of that, my deck builds might not be the greatest. And so please don't take this video as like a tutorial or a guide or like this is the best way to build Bakugo. Like, no, I'm never going to claim that, especially as somebody that's new to the game. I'm very humble and I'm trying to learn as much as possible. And because of that, if anybody is watching this and does have suggestions, that does have constructive criticism and feedback for me, then I am all ears. I have no ego when it comes to deck building in any card game, and I'm always looking for ways to improve. And so, if you guys are looking for some inspiration, some ideas, or some ways for you guys to build your own Katsuki Bakugo deck, then that's where you guys can take away from this video. And maybe even in the comment section below if anybody gives their input, right? Again, this is just my version, and this is version 1. This will be upgraded over time as I continue to learn more about the game and continue to get more inspiration from others. But with that being said, let's go over this deck profile. So, Katsuki Bakugo, guys, hand size is 6, vitality of 28. We talked about all that before, but the reason why I want to talk about this real quick is because I'm going to go ahead and build on his death symbol. I decided to focus my deck around that. If you guys don't know, in the My Hero Academia CCG, the 3 symbols on the left, you have to go ahead and choose one of those symbols in terms of how you want to build your deck. And the second symbol there is a death symbol, and that's a symbol I wanted to build my deck around. So every card in my deck has to have that symbol, right? Cool. So his response, and this is the main reason why, or this is the main effect that I built this deck around, is after your blocked Fury attack resolves, discard it from your card pool. Now, why is this cool? Why is this interesting? So in this game, there's a thing called progressive difficulty. And if you don't know what that is, you can go ahead and check out some of my previous videos where I talk about the mechanics of the game. But the reason why this is cool is because you basically get to circumvent progressive difficulty by sending cards directly to your discard pile after they resolve if they were blocked, right? And the reason why that's good is because if they weren't blocked, then that means you dealt damage, which means you can be really aggressive. So your opponent actually kind of gets penalized for playing defense. So that was my whole idea. I wanted to play cards where I can be extremely aggressive, where I continue to hit my opponent, continue to poke my opponent, continue to just keep up the barrage, the ruthless assault on them, and make them really have to guess, really have to make them decide if they want to block. And remember, if they are deciding to block, they have to use cards from their hand in order to block. So that is the whole game plan. Then, of course, I wanted to take advantage of stun to try to hinder their amount of foundations that they have in their staging area, so it's a little bit harder for them to pass their control check. So that's the idea behind this deck. Because of that, since I'm playing a rather aggressive setup, I went ahead and decided to go for 18 attacks. Now, what attacks did I go for? I went for 4 instant explosive release, 4 relentless barrage, 3 decaying grip, 2 point blank incineration, and 2 corrosion lunge. Now, why did I go for these attacks? So, in terms of his effect, right, it has to be a blocked Fury attack. All 18 of these attacks are Fury attacks. So that effect will always be live. If any of these attacks get blocked, I'll be able to trigger my first response effect, right? Cool. Now, in terms of my ratios, now this is something that can always be changed, especially this is version 1, right? So things still need to be play tested, things still need to be experimented with. So this is no way set in stone. But with that being said, the reason why I'm playing these ratios is because I wanted to make sure that my difficulty curve wasn't going to be too aggressive and I wasn't going to be too clunky, but I also wanted to make sure that I could balance out my blocks. In fact, a couple of my attacks here are actually low blocks, and my foundations, I have a lot of high and low blocks as well, because I never wanted to be in a situation where I wouldn't be able to fully block something just in case and continue to take partial damage, right? So that's why I decided to go in these ratios. So Instant explosive release, this first card I think is actually really damn good, because I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that this is the only 3 difficulty attack in the game, and it's actually pretty good. So it's 2 enhanced effects. The first one is add this attack to your momentum after it resolves. So regardless, right, after you play this card, you can add it to your momentum, which means that it's leaving your card pool, which means you kind of circumvent progressive difficulty, right? Now, this effect is only playable if your first attack this turn dealt damage, which is probably going to be likely because, again, you have Katsuki Bakugo, and your opponent's probably not going to want to block, and if they do, it might be a partial block ideally, so you're going to be able to deal some type of damage. Now, it doesn't even have to just be off an attack. That is what I want to point out. It does have to be off an attack, and it does have to be your first attack. So that is the one thing to keep in mind. Now, the second enhance is really good because it's a really good follow-up. If this attack deals damage, your next attack gets +2 damage, right? So it's just a quick, easy steroid. Now, I want to talk about the Shigaraki cards next. So the reason why I decided to go for 3 Decaying Grip and 2 Corrosion Lunge is because the Decaying Grip, it is a combo attack, and this combo attack is always going to be live, like I mentioned, because we have all Fury attacks here. The first effect we can ignore because we're not playing Shigaraki, but the combo enhance is this attack can only be blocked by cards with a printed block modifier of 3+ or greater. So that's actually really good because this is going to be, in a lot of times, since it's a mid, it might be a card that's going to be able to get free damage outright. So I feel like that's pretty good. Again, its combo effect is always going to be live, and we want to be aggressive, and we want to make it so our opponent has to think to block, and sometimes be in a situation where they can't block, so they're just constantly taking damage. Corrosion Lunge, I think, is really, really cool, right? And the reason why I think it's really cool is because its first enhance is if this attack is blocked, your next attack this turn gets +2 speed, +2 damage. So it's just a quick, easy steroid. And again, if this attack is blocked, you'll be able to get the effect of Corrosion Lunge, but you'll also be able to trigger Bakugo's effect, and which you can then discard it from your card pool, and then kind of circumvent progressive difficulty that way, right? So I feel like that's good synergy in itself. And then Deadlock Enhance, if this attack is completely blocked, it still deals 3 damage. Okay, so let's talk about Point Blank Incineration. So it's a low block, which is something I really needed, and it has stun, which is something that's really good. I mentioned it to you guys in the beginning of the video when I was talking to you guys about my idea for this deck. And the reason why I decided to go ahead with Point Blank Incineration is because since it has a stun effect, I'll be able to commit one of my opponent's foundations, but its enhance is actually pretty cool as well. Because every single mid, or not every single mid, the next mid attack that we play gets +3 speed, which is pretty damn good because it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for our opponent to block. And the reason why this is important is because our 2 main attacks, our Decaying Grip and our Relentless Barrage, are both going to be mid attacks. And I mean, Point Blank Incineration also has a damage value of 6, which is not too bad. Now, this is where things get absolutely fun and nutty. Relentless Barrage. Now, it is a combo punch, and this is the only punch we play, but it should be fine because we're playing 4 of it. And the reason why this is cool and the reason why this is interesting is because of the combo enhance. You lose 2 health, but you add 1 copy of Relentless Barrage from your discard pile to your hand. Now, this is something that I was thinking about. Maybe I should think about running another punch just so this could be live a little bit more. But again, this is going to take some testing. This is going to take some experimenting. But the reason why this is good is because you can just loop Relentless Barrages for a bit, because you have Katsuki Bakugo's effect, where if it is blocked, you can send it straight to your discard pile. Relentless Barrage will allow you to pick up a Relentless Barrage from your discard pile, and then you can go ahead and keep doing it. So your opponent's going to probably have incentive to not block this Relentless Barrage and then just take the hit, right? And of course, this is going to be 5 damage. If this attack is blocked, its second enhance, your next attack this turn gets +2 damage. So if the first one was blocked, it gets +2. Your next attack will get +2 damage. Your Relentless Barrage will go to the discard pile. You can go ahead and pick up, or you would have picked up a Relentless Barrage. You play it again, and now this time it's 7 damage. So you can loop it that way. You have you have Corrosion Lunge, which can boost it by +2 speed, +2 damage. Or actually, no, you wouldn't be able to do this because this is a Fury, and it actually has a combo off a punch, right? So you wouldn't get the steroid off that. But then you also wouldn't get the steroid off Instant Explosive Release for the +2 damage that way either. So that's what I was thinking, like, do I want to run another type of punch? I don't know. Again, this is just the experimental phase, but this is what I'm running in terms of my attacks. Now, For the foundations, it'll be a lot quicker. For the spammy foundations, we have Keen Observation and In Danger. In Danger is really good for playing on defense, but it's just mainly a spammy foundation. And Keen Observation is pretty cool because after your rival loses health due to an effect, so not by attacking, but due to an effect, your rival loses 1 health. This effect cannot be lethal, right? So that's pretty cool because we have cards that are going to allow us to deal damage to our opponents. So that's always good. Then we have Villainous Entrance, which is a low block, and this is going to give our Fury attacks stun. So all of our Fury attacks are going to have access to stun, so that's why I have to run 4 of these, but then also it is a 1 difficulty, so it's going to be pretty spammy. Then we get into the chunk of our 2 difficulties, but before I get into that, I want to talk about capabilities. Now, we actually run 4 of these because I definitely want to see this, and this is really good because if we commit this card, we discard 1 momentum and our Fury attack gets +2 speed, +5 damage. So this is really damn good for Relentless Barrage because then this becomes 10 damage with 5 speed and will probably have instant explosive release as momentum because we use this and it instantly becomes momentum, or any attacks that successfully go through, we can bring it as momentum. And we can just constantly use these, right? If we have multiple capabilities, we can just use capabilities and just commit it. And then when it's our turn again, it becomes uncommitted. And we can just keep using this as a steroid as long as we have momentum, right? So for me, in my opinion, I think that that card's really good. We definitely want to see this because this allows us to just go off. Then for my 2 foundations, we have Apathetic. So you get to flip one of your rival's foundations. So, you know, you have stun in order to commit your opponent's foundations, but you have flip to maybe make one of their foundations useless. You have burst of speed, which is going to be an effect that makes your rival lose 2 health. It's a Bakugo response. If this card enters your discard pile during your attack's enhanced step, then your rival loses 2 health. That's going to be really easy because you could just go ahead and pop it with Katsuki Bakugo's Enhance, destroy 1 foundation, your attack gets +2 damage. So now your Relentless Barrage could be 7, but then on top of that, you're going ahead and you're popping your Burst of Speed, so your rival loses 2 health, and then that would trigger your Keen Observation, so your rival loses 1 health, and they're just slowly getting chipped away. Latent Skill, you flip it, discard 2 cards, and then draw 2 cards, just so you can continue to go through your cards. Maybe add an extra Relentless Barrage into the discard pile, and then being able to pick that up later by using another Relentless Barrage, but then also being able to draw 2 cards to continue your offensive assault, hopefully, and draw into 2 more attacks. Then I run 4 Glamorous. Now, again, this is just, I still have to play around with these ratios. I'm mainly playing it with it for its first effective response. After you build this card, unflip 1 foundation. That allows us to have access to Latent Skill again. That allows us to have access to Apathetic again, which allows us to, once again, flip one of our rival's foundations. So I thought that that was pretty cool. So that is the deck, guys. So again, the idea is to just be aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. Have a good early build, maybe the first 2 or 3 turns, ideally the first 2-turn build, and then just start going aggressive with your attacks. Start making your opponent have to guess if they want to block, and start making your opponent guess if they just want to take the hit, and just be aggressive that way. So that is my Katsuki Bakugo deck version 1. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. Should I edit it? Is there any glaring weaknesses? Do you guys think my ratios are okay? Do you guys think I have enough low on high blocks? I think I did a pretty good job this time around, but I'm always open for constructive criticism. Guys, this is Katsuki Bakugo. Stay tuned. I got a ton more content. I got a ton more decks coming out soon. So if you enjoyed this type of content, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and leave a like. But most importantly, go ahead and go plus ultra. You feel me? And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.